style blacker. When playtime's over, I take your mind back to the north and where the art form was once invented. On that hardcore pavement in New York by minute. Brought turntables out and hooked mics up, God. Blessed the less fortunate to write something hard. Don't forsake it. You roll with the funk, you can't fake it, kid. We've been putting in mad time like
What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you for returning back to my channel, The Root Wave. In this episode, I have Kim GoodLook Seabrook. Please say hello, Kim. Let us know where we can find you, please.
Hello. Yes, Kim GoodLook Seabrook. You can find me on Instagram, GoodLook Seabrook, Seabrook. Facebook, Kim Seabrook, and you can find me all over.
Thank you, Kim, for being on the channel. I really appreciate it. I ran into you because I follow a lot of people in the Bronx, and there's no way that you can't run into your page as well. So once I did, I kind of looked into it and I said, you know what, this person's making moves. This person understands what's going on. Definitely have the foot on the street type of feel. Very grounded. You seem just down to earth. What I would like you to do for the audience is just explain what it is that you do, please.
Indeed. Yes. So I am a poet, first off. So I'm out here spreading nothing but positive vibes and good energy. So also do motivational speaking. I mentor young kids. I also mentor young adults with autism. As I always say when I introduce myself on the stage, I'm a poet, mentor, mother, lover, friend. So I'm all that good stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. So let's get into it a little bit. One of the reasons that I wanted you on the channel was I want to discuss what it is that you're encountering when you go out there and you're doing your poetry, and also when you're mentoring kids and you're out there speaking to them. What is it that you're seeing on a positive side, and what is it that you're seeing on a side, and we're not going to call it negative, but on a side that may need a lot more improvement?
A lot more tweaking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the positive side, you know, it's all about changing people's lives and changing people's perspectives on how, whether they see themselves or other situations. So that's my goal, is to always make sure that if somebody may have a negative, you know, energy or a negative thought, that I'm going to switch it. That's my goal, to make sure that they're going to leave there empowered, they're going to leave embraced. And again, that's from whether I'm doing poetry or I'm mentoring. I just always want to make a positive impact on someone.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in regards to maybe some stuff that maybe needed tweaking, I just think we need more people to support. You know what I mean? There's always people who are saying there's not things being done in the Bronx. There's nothing for them to do. There's so many things to do. I do so many events. There's so many activities for the kids to do, and then 90% of the things are free. It's just a matter of you getting from in front of your building and actually going to these events and networking and going out to meet other people. And I guarantee you will see a difference in the community itself from what you're always used to seeing.
Well, that's a good point that you brought up, because I was literally having this conversation with my daughter, because I'm thinking about doing like a little project for her where she involves herself in the community as well. But I felt like, even right now you're saying that there's a lot to do, and I'm not saying that I'm sitting here doing the research all the time, but I don't feel like we in the Bronx have that access to that information in regards to showing us the light of day to these programs that are available on a regular basis, you know? How does somebody that's watching this find that information? What's the best place how do they find out that these programs are taking place, or anything's going on in the Bronx that are usually free?
Well, yeah, I'm always posting things. So it's just a matter of saying, you follow, you pay attention to what's going on. I'm always posting everything that I do, because I want the community to know what's going on. So I do have some resources. I also have some information on something that I'm doing soon with this group. I forgot the name of it, but they do poetry workshops as well. It's free for the girls, free for, you know, boys as well, but they had dance class. There's so many things to do. So I'm definitely going to put that information out there. So if you follow me, you can always stay on top of the loop and see what's going on, especially in the Bronx and all over the boroughs.
Yeah, no, that's appreciated. That's why I like your page, because you're looking at things and you're like, hey, I didn't know this was going on. You know, nobody's really putting it out there like if you were in Brooklyn or Queens or something like that, you know, because I feel like when you go to those boroughs, there's a lot more organization in regards to getting the community involved and getting those programs and the word of mouth out there. I just feel like there's a lot, which is, I'm glad that we brought up that point, because maybe somebody watching is like, hey, let's put something together so that way every time something's going on in the Bronx, the whole Bronx knows,
Exactly,
instead
exactly.
of it being hidden somewhere. Um, Now let's talk about you've been raised in the Bronx, and I have too. What differences are you seeing with the youth from our time to now in regards to
Ooh.
in regards to in regards to I guess the development of our borough and our youth.
It's kind of like a mixed thing because I am in the arts. I do see a lot of positive kids doing a lot of amazing things. You know what I mean? But then I also see that side where kids are really disrespectful
Mhm.
and they don't have that ground. Back in the day where you can't go because the neighbor Jackie was coming outside. She's gonna beat you too. You know what I mean? So we don't have that anymore. Like we can't even knock on your neighbor's door for a cup of sugar because nobody
Mhm.
talks to each other anymore. You can't. I remember sharing, the light, the electricity. Our electricity. Well, now we're gonna get the extension cord from they, and just like Beanie Siegel said, but it was literally what we did. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And those things don't happen no more. So I think that's the disconnect with the kids now that there's not that connection with the community, which your neighbors and stuff like that. I think that's a big, big factor. Also, the arts. They stopped a lot of art programs and music and things like that. However, again, being doing what I am doing, I do see a lot more stuff going on in the community with the kids. So it's like a balance. You know what I mean? Now I think they are pushing it more out and out, but that was a major problem that there wasn't no creativity for the kids.
Right,
So.
I noticed that too in the Bronx. We have a lot more art stuff going on, art, music, food,
Right.
like stuff that we never had back in the day. Never, never,
hmm
never, never had back in the day.
Well, I mean, we had band, we had art, we had shop. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? We
It
had
was
we
different
had a
though.
few things. Yeah, but I mean, now it's a lot more. Yeah, a lot more for the kids to be creative.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's out there. We just gotta find it.
yeah. I mean, it. Maybe the best way to say it is that I remember back in the day, all that stuff felt really underground. Like it felt
Yeah.
really underground. Now it still feels kind of underground, but it's in social media, so it really isn't. So
Right.
definitely there's a different vibe to it, and I feel like I do see the youth, even though I think you're 100% right. They're still disrespectful and everything, and there's that lack of community, but there is a lot of camaraderie. How do you say camaraderie? I'm sorry.
Yes. So like, don't
There's
get me to
there's
mess
a lot
up.
of loyalty between
Yeah.
them now compared to when we were growing up. But yeah, how about we discuss real quick because you're a parent and I'm a parent too. How do we get the kids to not be disrespectful? How do we get them to empower them to make moves in the community? And how do we make them get the word out so that way not only they're enjoying and benefiting from these programs and the things going on in the Bronx, but also their peers can too?
But again, it comes from the parents. You know what I'm saying? We got to get the kids out. We got to get them motivated. We got to get them into activities. You got to look for resources. The resources are there, and you just have to find it. So, if your kids is outside in the front of the building all day, doing absolutely nothing because they don't play like how we used to play. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Ain't nobody playing tag. Nobody's doing hopscotch and double dutch or finding the littlest things to play with. They're not doing that. So if they're outside, they're probably getting into trouble and they need to be somewhere being creative. So I think it just really all comes from the parents.
Yeah.
And not to blame the parents because sometimes we could do so much for our kids and they still end up getting caught up in the street. So not even necessarily just that. But I mean, overall, it comes from with us to start.
Tell me, have you noticed any programs in the Bronx that really like stand out?
Well, actually, yes. And how can I not mention Guns Down Life Up is another program. They are based out of Lincoln Hospital. I mentor them as well. They do a lot of amazing things. And I mean, you got young male teenagers, you understand, like who are there every week for the after school program. They're active, they're engaging, they do music. I did a poetry workshop. They was, you know, maybe one of them didn't want to participate, but I still, he still did it, whether it was two lines or no, you know what I mean? He still was able to do it. So yeah, shout out to Guns Down Life Up. They also had like t-shirts that they made that was sold at Dr. J's. They're working on another store. So they do a lot of dope stuff.
Yeah, no, that's good. Do you feel that the people that you are mentoring or coming to see you, do you feel like they're in, I don't know how to put this, but do you feel like there's a big need of mentorship and support out there?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, even for my son growing up, I don't even like to use the term single mother, you know what I mean?
right.
Because I taught him how to be raised by the community, whether, it was a friend who had to watch him while I was at work, you know what I mean? So I can't say that I did everything by myself. I was blessed to have many people to help me with my son. And, so everybody needs a mentor, even some adults need some mentorship, depending on where you want to go in your life and you need some kind of guidance. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, because you have your boots on the ground, what is it that you see in the community or in the Bronx in general that for the future, like, um, if you walk around the worst parts of the street of the Bronx, you probably think like, yo, there's no future here. But because you're part of, that whole world of motivating and mentorship and all these programs that are going on, what positive and awesomeness are we seeing in the future for the Bronx?
I'm seeing rooftops with fresh
Yeah,
gardens.
yeah.
I'm seeing our kids becoming very successful leaders and positive role models for their kids in the future. Um, I'm seeing I'm seeing definitely some happiness, you know what I mean? And that's important because there's a lot of sad and miserable souls out here. And I see a lot of great things. I definitely see a lot of great things and positivity coming up.
Hmm. Tell me a little bit about how someone that may be watching this who may be younger gets into the whole motivational, leadership, even the arts, the poetry. Like, what's a good place to start?
That's a good question. With me, it's just started with me performing, honestly. So I went on stage. I'm just going to express how it happened for me, and maybe that can guide somebody. So I went on stage for the first time. This was about 13 years ago. I've always been creative. I've always been into performing and things like that. But I wrote about an abusive relationship that I just left. And for me to be able to express that, not worry about judgment. You can't worry about what other people think. It's your feelings, it's how you want to express it and get it out. That was like the biggest thing I had to get through. And I did it because I talked about, like I said, abusive relationships. I talked about abortion. I talked about just me going through this trauma and getting out of it. So when I was able to speak that, the women in the audience are like, wow, you're telling my story. I just didn't know how to say it. The men are like, well, who's this guy? You know what I mean? You're not supposed to be treated like that. Like, they said some other stuff, but I got your back. Like, da, da, da. So it was like refreshing that I was able to be that voice for other people. So in return, I felt like that was definitely my calling. I took a break in between it, because life happens. But the past 3 years, I've been consistent with going out to events, meeting other people. You just really have to stay active in the community. You got to find these events. You have to. Once you find one thing, I promise you, it's going to trickle down, and you're going to continue to follow the rest. That's how it happened.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that you said that because a lot of what I do on my channel is I interview people who, it doesn't even matter if they're doing something big or small, but as long as it's inspirational,
Hmm.
I want to talk to them. But another thing that I'm getting from all these interviews that I do is it's all about self-expression, right? Like it's all about nothing really comes without you letting go of the fear of what people think of you or actually making the decision that I'm going to express myself. I'm going to say my story. And then the funny thing is the same thing happened to me where one day I was like, oh, I'm gonna express myself. I'm gonna talk to people. I'm just gonna do things. And then things just started coming in. And I feel
Right.
like one thing that's very important right now, and I want to just mention it because you mentioned it, is that it is important to just express yourself. People want to hear other people's stories because we're on this planet on our own in our mind. So if people are
Right.
actually expressing themselves and you can relate, it opens up your world and your mind. And then that just keeps going as long as you keep doing it with other people. And then
Absolutely.
that brings that sense of community, and
Exactly.
that's pretty awesome because that's connecting. And I feel like with social media and everything, that has changed the game for everyone. But even I feel in the Bronx, I mean, that's been such a tool that people are using to express themselves, to connect, to actually make moves and just tell their story. And then people are just like, yo, I want to hear more. I'm gonna follow
Exactly.
you. What you doing?
Hmm.
Like let's build, let's do things together, let's self-express
Exactly.
together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
dope.
then it gives them motivation to tell their story. You know what I mean? And that's the best part because for years, you would think, for years I've held so much stuff in, you know what I mean? And for me to be so expressive as I am now, I'd be like, dang. But it
Right.
was therapy for me. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
was my therapy. Poetry is my therapy, and I always say that.
Yeah.
So
No, and
be
and, and
expressive.
all and all these kids out here be like, hey, I want to be a YouTube star, or I want to
Oh,
sing, I want to
uh,
dance, and you're like, yo, you don't realize that that begins with the expression, where you actually being like, yo, I'm going to express, and I'm not going to
right.
care what anyone thinks. But then also it takes a lot of work, which then leads me to my second part of what I
Yeah.
do with these interviews. And another thing that I love to dissect in these interviews is the work ethic. What is it? Maybe a better question is if, or a better statement is, would you mind explaining the work ethic behind what you do?
There is a lot of sacrificing that you have to do if you want to be a positive influencer, or just if you whatever you want to do in life is a lot of sacrificing. If you want to do outside the norm of the 9 to 5, da, 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 right? So, for instance, I just tell you how this journey really, really started for me. The past 2 years ago, I got fired from my job. I was working in a car dealership. I sold 35 cars in my department, but you fired me because you said it was my numbers. Now, mind you, yeah, exactly. I was living in Connecticut, but I was constantly coming back and forth to New York because that year, like, my poetry was really, really, doing a lot. So once I got fired, I was like, okay, say no more. Then I'm gonna leave. This was the best thing that you could ever do for me. I mean, I left my house, I left everything, so homeless for 2 years, you know what I'm saying? Not going back to working for the man, you know what I mean? So you sacrifice time with your family, you sacrifice financial stability, you sacrifice a lot of things. But if you know and you see where you're going, and you stay on top of what you're doing, and you believe in yourself, there's no limit. There's no limit. I mean, look at the things that I'm doing right now. I mean, even during that transition, you know what I mean? I kept pushing, I kept pushing, I kept pushing. My son was like, what you mean you're not looking for a job? My son is 19. What do you mean not looking? He's not used to me. He knows that whenever something goes, quote unquote, bad, you know what I mean? In our eyes, sometimes we think that losing a job is a bad thing, when it's really you can make it into a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I chose to do with it. So it's all about sacrificing and not being scared to not be able to do your nails, or, do your own hair, or, again, sleeping from couch to couch, you know what I mean? Getting your car repossessed. Like, yeah, so those are the things that you got to sacrifice. And it's all worth it, because no matter how much I didn't have monetary, I had it spiritually, I had it emotionally, I had it, just definitely internally, like everything. So that's why I stay glowing. Like, people be like, how you be so happy? What you mean? How can I not? Like, I'm blessed on top of blessings. Like,
Hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome because one thing that I always express about myself is the last 8 years have been such a struggle for me, but the one thing that I appreciate more than ever is knowing that a lot of times life has to just slump all the way down for you to actually like shoot back up. And then
Hmm.
that's like the best time to actually like, yo, get your shit together and be like, yo, we out. So yeah, no, I'm glad that you brought that up. But Kim, let me just ask you one more time, what any events or anything that's happening that we can catch you at?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. Well, it's the Bronx is postponed. I don't know if you are aware of that. That's postponed.
Mhm.
But that's a huge festival going on, and I know that whatever happened in the situation, it's only meant for it to be bigger
Mhm.
and grow. What do I have going on? Like, I got so much stuff. It's like, okay, I'm doing a video shoot for my new song, Justice for All. That's going to be Saturday. I'm sorry, Mark. Like, I'm doing so many things. And then next week, I got like 3 events back to back to back. Again, I don't know. You got to just follow me and stay on top. And yeah, I
Yeah, follow
promise
Kim.
you,
She's
you'll
always
see.
got something going on there. Yeah, she's
Exactly. Like, my calendar is always full, which is the blessing. So yeah, I'm actually supposed to be performing in Maryland. I'm booked for it.
your
So
book.
I'm making a decision, like, if this is definitely something that I want to do, because I'm just looking at the other artists and in comparison to what I do. But everybody's like, nah, Kim, go do it, bust it out, show your positivity. And then, I don't want to talk about, anybody, but I'm hoping that this is what it needs to be. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see.
And where can we
I'm
find you again?
GoodLook Seabrook on Instagram, and if you got Facebook, it's Kim Seabrook.
Yeah, very good, Kim. I'm gonna put all the information below so that way people can go follow you, can go support because we need people like you. I don't care if there's 100 motivators in the Bronx. We need more. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Like,
right,
yeah, we
right.
need more. We need so many more. But yeah, the future looks bright. I wasn't really messing with the Bronx too much for a couple of years, even though I was living here. And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Yo, let me jump in." And I was like, "Whoa!" Like,
That's
I'm
what's
like,
up.
I'm like, "Yo, damn! I should have got in sooner." But
Nah,
yeah,
everything is timing.
yeah,
Everything
yeah,
is
yeah.
timing.
Divine timing. I believe in that definitely. Now, if you wouldn't mind, like I ask all my guests, I always tell them if they could just give us a positive send off real quick, a message that might hit the gut, get them going a little bit, please.
Yeah, if you don't mind, could I do a little quick something? All right. All right, here we go. Um, Through everything I've been through, I managed to be here. I'm fighting through the storm. I'm holding back my tears. Got fired from my job, so I jumped on my career. The mountain seems so far. In fact, it's really near. If I focus on the problem, they will never disappear. That's how I hold my ground. That's how I persevere. I'm the advocate for pain. I'm the advocate for strength. Who said that in this life I deserve to feel like less? I was sleeping in my car, but my car got repossessed. I took it as a loss. The corner was a stress. Staying place to place on the couch to get some rest. My back was really hurting, got cramps all in my neck. Staying on the grind because I got to get them checks. The checks I got were bouncing. I can't get out of debt. What happened to the friends? It seems as if they left. It's just me, myself, and I, but that's all I really need to keep away the vultures, to keep away the greed. Life is not a race. Take your time, don't speed. Yes, you're right, stay humble. Very true indeed. One thing for sure that I can always guarantee that in this thing called life, I will make it to succeed. Peace.
Yes, thank you, Kim. Appreciate that.
You got
Awesome. I wasn't expecting that. That's pretty dope. Yeah, thank
Thank
you so much, Kim. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna make sure I put all the information below. That way everyone can check you out. I really appreciate you being on the channel.
you. Nah,
It's
appreciate
awesome.
you
Yeah,
having me. Yeah,
yeah.
thanks
I
for
love
having
talking
me.
to people like you. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. And to my
All right.
audience, please go follow Kim. Check her out. I'm gonna put all the information below. Start attending these type of events because not only to support people like Kim, but also to meet people like Kim, like me, like all the people that are sitting in the audience doing just awesome stuff that are sitting there, just building off of the energy that Kim may be giving off. And just
Exactly.
and just looking to create something awesome and positive, right? Because a lot of the audiences, a lot of times like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that's a beautiful thing. Please go support Kim, and I'll catch you around in the next episode. I'll catch you around. Peace. Later.
Peace.
On a ghetto vacation, away from them stiff suit and tie men who sit and scrutinize our lives, not knowing they could get brutalized for that. Low as the kicks and high as the hats. Explosion hits, you got no haps off the meat racks. I don't rhyme no more. I